And we'll start. Luke, who gives this woman to be married today to this man?
Her mother and I did.
Put her hand in his. And move her a little bit. Come on, face this way and switch hands. You hear Luke say, "She's all yours." Two firsts for me today. One is that this is the first wedding I've officiated during a pandemic, so that's new. And the first wedding I've ever officiated where the best man is a woman, which I thought was really cool. Really cool. It's been an absolute pleasure of mine getting to know these two. Parents, you done good. What I have observed about them is that, yes, they love each other, but more importantly, what I see in Scott and Maddie is a sincere like for each other. And I've coached a lot of couples getting ready to get married, and I've often said liking turns out to be way more important than loving in the long run. So I really feel confident about them because of their like for each other. When Scott and Maddie reached out to me to officiate, I wanted them to know up front that as a Christian man and pastor, I was going to officiate a Christian wedding. I told them that marriage is hard, even with Jesus at the center of it. It will be challenging. So they each know, and I believe clearly, that I fully desire for them to pursue Christ personally and to help ensure that they have a successful marriage by making sure that they unite in faith as they move forward. Here's why this is so important. The Bible describes Jesus as the groom, and the church is described as his bride. Jesus expresses his love for his bride in self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice to the uttermost. Love that knows no end. Love that goes to a cross. The church expresses her love to the one that gives everything for her. The bride joyfully gives herself to her loving husband, acknowledging him as her leader and following gladly where he leads. The Christian marriage is the marriage to which all other marriages are to point. This is the marriage to which your marriage is to point. No pressure. Scott, I want to say to you today that this is your bride. As her father walked away moments ago, that was no mere formality. It wasn't just simply symbolic. Something is changing here today. You have a new responsibility, a responsibility that you have never had before. Madison is your bride. You are to love her to the point of absolute self-sacrifice. Your love for her is to know no end. You are her provider and her protector. And Madison, I want to say to you today, this is your husband. You are to joyfully follow his lead, to trust him as Scott is charged with being the type of man you'll want to follow. You are making a choice today that Scott will be your provider, that he will be your protector, and you are to love him by respecting his leadership, supporting him, and caring for him. The marriage between a man and a woman is to be a living testimony of the relationship between the Lord Jesus and his chosen people, his bride, whom he purchased with his own blood. Scott and Madison, when you deal with one another in all of your weaknesses and your struggles, may you remember that you yourself are needy of grace, so be gentle and patient. The difficulties you will face in marriage are no reason to walk away. The more difficult it gets, the more opportunity you'll have to show love. Today you are making a lifelong commitment to each other. This is impossible to do without Christ. I asked these two to each write a letter expressing the moment that they, how they met and when they knew they were in love. So if you will indulge me for just a second, these are really precious, and this should be a fun couple of minutes ahead. I'll start with Scott's letter. So our meeting wasn't too exciting. We met at work, and at the time I was in a relationship, so I didn't really talk to her more than saying hi and bye. Our friendship started to develop when me and my sister went to help one of her friends move. We started to talk and share songs as we drove around town and discovered our mutual taste in music and just general interest. By the way, I asked them to not share these letters with the other, to just send them to me. So Maddie's hearing his version for the first time. After that night, I just thought she was the coolest chick I ever met. What a poet. I knew I needed to be her friend. The day I fell in love with Maddie, I wish I could say it was this super happy moment, but it wasn't. I was at the lowest point in my life emotionally. My mom had just passed, my dog was sick, and my 5-year relationship that ended months prior with her telling me she had cheated on me multiple times. Me and Maddie were just friends at this point, and she knew I was having a hard time, so she took me to Champaign just to get me out of the house and make sure I ate. We just went and walked around stores we both enjoyed. We didn't buy anything, just walked and talked. Before we left to go back to Monticello, we had to get gas, and after getting that, we just sat in the car at the gas station and talked for like an hour and a half. Remember that? I thought so. That was one of the first days since my mom passed that I finally let loose and just cried. And Maddie sat with me and made sure I was okay. That was the day I fell in love with Maddie. You guys are getting me too. I got to see firsthand how big her heart was and how she really cared about my well-being. I knew that she would be there for me no matter what and no matter when. She was able to get me to crack and let my feelings loose. There was just something about her that felt so comforting. When I was with her, I felt like I was home. I still have that feeling to this day. That was the day I knew she was the girl I wanted to spend the rest of the time with. Do we have napkins? Or
I know.
paper towels?
I'm looking.
Beach towels?
Sorry. Scott, you don't get one. Sorry.
This is Maddie's letter about the same situation to Scott.
Oops, sorry.
Maddie says, I always thought I had a pretty good idea of what love was. That all completely changed when I met Scott. When I first met Scott, we did not talk to each other at all. She emphasized that at all. He was quiet and mostly kept to himself. He didn't smile, didn't really laugh, and only responded to my questions at work with 1 or 2 word answers. So naturally, I assumed he couldn't stand me. So I did my best to just avoid all conversation with him unless absolutely necessary. As you can probably assume, things have changed since then. My first impression of Scott was not that he was mean or cold, just a little standoffish and maybe a little sad. I don't know, I could just tell he had a lot going on in his head, kind of like me. Flash forward a couple of months and I had been dumped and he was going through the worst year of his life to date. And here we were, just 2 really sad people sort of just coasting through life, unsure of our futures. I made it my mission to at least cheer him up. I've always been someone that finds joy by helping others find joy. And while I might not have been happy, I was hoping that maybe by helping him, I could sort of piggyback off of his happiness to pick myself up out of my own rut too. Scott was going through the breakup phase where you basically purge the person you were before and build an entirely new one. We've all been there. I have a love for photography and film, and Scott needed new profile pictures. How convenient. Every picture of him up until now has included people from his past he didn't want ties to anymore. So we set a date and had a photo shoot. That's where I really is in all caps, met Scott for the first time. He was kind and shy and so incredibly funny. We spent a couple of hours laughing and talking and really getting to know one another. I fell in love with his eyes and his smile and his laugh. And then she emphasizes how much she loves your laugh. We formed a beautiful companionship with one another after that, where we didn't heal each other, we taught each other how to heal ourselves. There was never one particular moment that made me realize we were going to spend the rest of our lives together. I think I always sort of knew. So everything that happened just sort of solidified those feelings rather than introduce them to me. My mom always told me she knew my dad was the one because when he kissed her, it felt like coming home. And every day, there Scott is, kissing me, and every day, there I am, home. You can applaud that.
I love it. What the freak? I do have one more. It's fine. It's fine. Give that to your daughter.
Let's just take a moment and collect ourselves.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hit the pause button just for a little bit.
We have to take pictures of
Everybody okay for the kids? Are we ready, team?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm sure we'll probably start crying again anyway.
Okay.
So we might as well.
We'll just press on.
Just go.
Scott, do you possess a token of your love and affection to give to your bride as a seal of this holy covenant?
Yes.
Let's get that ring out. And if you want to go ahead and just start it on her ring finger. Scott, this ring will always remind you of this day and of this sacred commitment. As you place the ring on her finger of your bride, repeat after me. I, Scott.
I, Scott.
Take you, Madison.
Take you, Madison.
To be my lawfully and spiritually wedded wife.
And spiritually wedded wife.
I promise to forsake all others.
I promise to forsake all others.
And cleave only to you.
And cleave only to you.
I promise to love you.
I promise to love you.
Honor you.
Honor you.
Comfort you.
Comfort you.
And lead our home.
And lead our home.
Faithfully before God.
Faithfully before God.
I take you.
I take you.
From this day forward.
From this day forward.
For better or for worse.
For better or for worse.
For richer or for poorer.
For richer or for poorer.
In sickness and in health.
In sickness and health.
Till death do us part.
Till death do us part.
Madison, do you have a token of your love and affection to give Scott? It's on her pinky finger. I see it hiding in the Maddie, this ring will always remind you of this day and your commitment to Scott. As you place the ring on the wedding finger of Scott, repeat after me. I, Madison, take you, Scott, as my lawfully. Want to do it again? All right.
As my lawfully
And spiritually wedded husband.
spiritually wedded husband.
I promise to forsake all others
I promise to forsake all others
and cleave only to you.
and cleave only to you.
I promise to love,
I promise to love,
honor,
honor,
comfort,
comfort,
and build you up.
and build you up.
I take you from this day forward,
Take you from this day forward,
for better or for worse,
for better or for worse,
for richer, for poorer,
for richer or for poorer,
in sickness and in health,
sickness and health,
till death do us part.
till death do us part.
Based on the charge that you have received today and on the vows that you have taken in the sight of God and these witnesses, Scott and Maddie, we rejoice with you that the two roads that brought you here will now be one as you leave. Are we good? Okay. All right?
We'll count his fingers as a band-aid and it won't go off.
Just throw it on the other hand real fast.
Just knock in that one, that's cool.
Let this not be a signal. No, it's cool. What God has joined together, let no one separate. By the virtue of the authority vested in me as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, our Lord, in the presence of God and these assembled witnesses, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Scott, you may kiss your bride. As we leave here, we'll have a pedal tossing ceremony just outside. Am I correct, Mandy?
Yes.
Okay.
Or are we doing it in
Or
here?
or we could even just throw it at them as they.
Throw it in and they're
Do
going
it
in.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So-
pick up your pedals.
You have pedals on your plates, either in front of you or behind you, in a little cone.
There.
So I will make the pronouncement. Yeah, you can make your way toward the aisle here. Wait for just a moment. Find a good position and limber up your shoulder if you need to. Okay, we'll do it next week.
Okay, I was like,
It's not a problem.
What's wrong?
Just call me when you got it.
What? Yeah.
Are you recording me saying that?
Yes, I am. Maddie and Scott.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you for the first time Mr. and Mrs. Scott and Madison Sanchez.
Woo!
Yay!
Yeah.
There we go.